Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to attempt to change the timing belt on a silver car. I've never done this before. I looked at the factory service manual and watched like one or two videos on it. It doesn't seem too hard, so I'm going to try my luck with it. I picked up this Dayco timing belt kit. It comes with the water pump and everything. New alternator belt, and I picked up this K-motor cam gear holder. It was recommended that I try to use this. It was only like 20 bucks. So to get started, I already have the coolant draining out. So next we're going to come in this area here. There's a bolt right here at the top of the alternator bracket. Loosen that up. Pull the alternator forward, get that belt off. Loosen up the spark plug cover. Loosen up all the bolts on the valve cover. I'm not going to pull it off yet. I'm going to loosen up the bolts on the timing belt cover. There's a few 10s, and then I'm going to rotate the motor and put it at top dead center before I pull off the valve cover. So I'm going to do that real quick and I'll pick the video up afterwards. Alright, so the engine's at top dead center. You'll have up on this cam gear, up on this cam gear, and you'll have two dashes here and here that are facing each other. Down here on the crank pulley, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's three dashes on the lip that's closest to the timing belt cover. About an inch back from the three dashes, you'll see one single dash. You line that up with this little piece that's sticking out right here, and that should be at top dead center. So right now, I am going to jack the engine up with a piece of wood underneath the oil pan and remove this mount. So now the motor mounts off. So now I'm going to remove the crank pulley. It takes a 19mm bolt. I want to give a shout out to my homie Matt, balling on a budget, for letting me borrow his impact gun, because there's no way I could get this off with hand tools or the air gun that I have, because its compressor's just too small. But if you want to see a pretty sick G35 build with a b18, I'll put his Instagram underneath here. But anyway, here's the crank pulley bolt right here. So I'm just going to remove that, and then we're going to remove the lower cover, which is just a couple 10s holding that in. So once you have the crank pulley and the cover off, pull the crank pulley off. You're going to have this little key. Make sure you don't lose this, or you'll be taking a trip to Honda. Behind the timing cover, you have this little washer that I guess keeps the timing belt from rubbing on the cover. So just double check everything's back at top dead center. There is a mark on the oil pump and the oil pump gear to line everything up. So that's why that bolt's back in there. So right now, right here, there's a 14mm bolt on the tensioner. I'm going to crack this loose, take the timing belt off. Alright, so these are 12s here. I'll crack this one loose. I'm putting a set of AM cam gears on. Also pick these up secondhand, so every AM part that I have is secondhand on this car. So basically, I'm using the impact gun, just loosen this up. Pull the bolt out. There's a little key just like on the crank that on the side that faces up. Just slide this off, slide the new one on, tighten back up the bolt. It's just as simple as that. So the water pump's off the car. I have 5 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pretty simple to take off. Just make sure you have a pan underneath the car to catch all the coolant that's going to fall. So right now I'm going to scrape off all this old gasket that was on the water pump, just so I have a nice smooth surface. And then I'm going to get ready to install the new water pump. New water pump and tensioners on. This isn't tight, it's just hand tight on there. So right now I'm lining up the crank with the little arrow. There's a little line on there if you can see it with the arrow. I'm going to come up to the top, line these guys back up, and hopefully we can get started putting the timing belt on. Alright, so I have the timing belt on and it's in time. I'm going to insert a clip here of how I got the timing belt lined up from Honda Street Garage.
Now we're going to time up the block, we're going to time up the cams, and we're going to put the new timing belt on. I have my 2 cam marks facing up, but what's more important is that if you notice the 2 lines right here are literally level with the head, facing each other. And then this guy down here is facing straight up, but also there's a little mark here and an arrow here. So now we're going to put the belt on. Okay, did you notice that? Did you notice all this move? Hopefully. Now, I'm gonna slide the belt on. Notice there's a bunch of floppy stuff here. So what we do is we take the crank, make sure the time belt's on, and we rotate 3 teeth. So, 1, 2, 3. Now if you notice, it's tight up here, it's tight right here, but all the slack's over here where the tensioner side is before the battery dies.
The tool that I bought, apparently this is for VTEC only engines, because if you put this in here, you can see the cams are spaced way further apart. So just keep this in the toolbox. But anyway, to line these up, I basically just put a wrench on each one like this, one on that side like this, lined them up where I needed them and clamped them together with these, and that held those in place. And I lined the mark up on the crank pulley bolt, and then pretty much just followed a Honda Street Garage tutorial, because that's what I did. I rotate the engine a couple times and we're looking good. So hopefully when I put this back together, it's not going to be knocking. But anyway, installation, put everything back, is going to be exactly what you did but in reverse. So it's going to be that little washer, the bottom cover. I'm going to tighten up the bottom cover, and I'll put the crank pulley on with the little key, and then we'll work on the upper timing cover. Alright, so everything's back together. Have the belt on, a brand new belt. Did the little sticker so I know when I changed it in the future. New valve cover, gasket. So everything's back together except there's no coolant in the car. So right now I'm going to give it the first test try. Start it up. Hopefully the valves don't contact the pistons. So the car seems to be running normal, so right now I'm going to lower it down, fill it up with coolant. Being the first time that I changed a timing belt ever, it really wasn't super hard. I was a little bit nervous that the teeth were going to be off or whatever. It did take me a while to actually get the belt and everything lined up, but once I got it lined up and I tightened up the tensioner, I just rotated the crank a couple times, and just to make sure that all the marks were lining up before I put everything back together. So if you do that and everything lines up after you rotate it a few times, I think I did it 3 times just to make sure, you'll be good to go. So I'm going to fill this up with coolant and take it for a test drive, and I'll let you guys know if it runs well or not.